The wind howled as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the vast ocean. Ferdinand Magellan stood on the deck of the Trinidad, the flagship of his expedition, his eyes fixed on the distant waters. To anyone else, the ocean might have seemed an endless expanse of uncertainty, but to Magellan, it was the embodiment of potential, an uncharted world waiting to be discovered. In that moment, Magellan was not just a man, but the living embodiment of the Three of Wands. The card's symbolism, momentum, confidence, expansion, growth, and foresight mirrored the qualities that had driven Magellan throughout his life. The world, as it was known, could not contain his vision. His eyes were always set on what lay beyond the familiar, on the possibilities that lay just out of reach, waiting to be claimed by those brave enough to venture forth. Magellan's journey did not begin on the deck of a ship. It started years earlier, in the bustling courts of Lisbon and Seville, where the young navigator had honed his skills and nurtured his ambitions. Born into minor Portuguese nobility, Magellan had grown up surrounded by stories of daring explorers and distant lands. These tales sparked a fire within him, a desire not just to follow in the footsteps of those who came before, but to chart his own path, to expand the boundaries of the known world. In his youth, Magellan had served the Portuguese crown, participating in expeditions to the East Indies. It was there that he first glimpsed the vastness of the world and the limitations imposed by the maps of the time. The spice-rich islands of the East, so coveted by European powers, were only a fraction of what lay beyond the horizon. Magellan knew that there was more, much more, and it was this conviction that drove him to seek out a route to the fabled Spice Islands by sailing westward, a route that no one had ever taken before. Like the figure in the Three of Wands who gazes out at the sea with a mixture of anticipation and determination, Magellan saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. He understood that true growth and expansion required not just daring, but careful planning and foresight. Every step he took was calculated, every decision weighed against the ultimate goal of reaching the farthest corners of the earth. Securing the support of the Spanish crown was no small feat, but Magellan's confidence in his vision was unshakable. He presented his plan with the assuredness of a man who had already seen the future, who knew that the momentum of history was on his side. The Three of Wands is a card of momentum, and in Magellan's case, this momentum was not just personal, but global. The world was changing, nations were expanding their territories, trade routes were being established, and the thirst for knowledge and wealth was insatiable. King of Spain, recognizing the potential in Magellan's plan, granted him the resources to undertake the journey. 5 ships were prepared: Trinidad, San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Santiago. With these vessels, Magellan set out in 1519, leaving behind the familiar shores of Europe for the vast unknown. As the fleet sailed southward along the coast of Africa and then across the Atlantic, Magellan's confidence never wavered. He had studied the winds and the currents, he knew the dangers, but he also knew that great rewards awaited those who dared to reach beyond their grasp. The Three of Wands represents the confidence that comes from careful planning and preparation, and this was evident in every decision Magellan made as he navigated the treacherous waters. The passage through the Strait of Magellan, the narrow waterway at the southern tip of South America, was one of the most harrowing parts of the journey. The strait was a labyrinth of rocky islands and unpredictable weather, and many in Magellan's crew doubted they would make it through. But Magellan's unwavering belief in his vision kept the men going. He knew that this was the gateway to the vast Pacific Ocean, a body of water that had never been crossed by Europeans. When the fleet finally emerged into the Pacific, Magellan's sense of expansion was not just physical but symbolic. The Three of Wands is a card of growth, of looking beyond the immediate to the broader possibilities. For Magellan, the Pacific represented not just a new ocean to be crossed, but a new chapter in human history. He was expanding the world's understanding, pushing the boundaries of what was known, and in doing so, he was fostering a growth that would have repercussions for centuries to come. The journey across the Pacific was long and arduous, with the crew suffering from scurvy and starvation. Yet Magellan's foresight, his ability to plan for the long term, ensured that they pressed on. He knew that the Spice Islands were out there, waiting to be found, and that the success of the journey hinged on their ability to endure. The Three of Wands is also about endurance, the understanding that growth and expansion require patience and perseverance, qualities that Magellan possessed in abundance. Magellan never lived to see the full fruits of his labor. He was killed in the Philippines in 1521, before the expedition could complete its circumnavigation of the globe. Yet, his death did not mark the end of his vision. The remaining crew, led by Juan Sebastián Elcano, continued the journey, eventually returning to Spain in 1522, completing the first circumnavigation of the Earth. Magellan's legacy, like the Three of Wands, is one of looking ahead. He may not have seen the end of the journey, but he had set in motion events that would change the world forever. His foresight, his confidence, and his relentless pursuit of expansion paved the way for future explorers and opened up new possibilities for trade, exploration, and cultural exchange. In the end, Ferdinand Magellan was a man who embodied the spirit of the Three of Wands, a visionary who looked beyond the horizon, who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. His journey was one of growth, of momentum, and of expansion, driven by a confidence that what lay ahead was worth any sacrifice. And though he did not live to see the full realization of his dreams, his impact on history is undeniable, a testament to the power of foresight and the courage to pursue the unknown.